if acting is all about the psychology of human behaviour, then maybe we should teach actors about the psychology of human behaviour. And if acting is a craft and a career that requires resilience and adaptability and emotional agility, then maybe we should teach actors evidence-based techniques and tools that can help them to build those skills. And ultimately, if acting is about interpreting what it means to be human, then maybe we should start basing our interpretations on credible contemporary ideas about human psychology instead of relying on old ideas that are vague, woolly, or just 100 years out of date. Now, to me, those seem like pretty sensible suggestions, but the vast majority of training offered to actors fails to deliver on all three fronts, which is why, after 10 years of working as a professional actor in the industry and another 10 of teaching and directing at some of the UK's leading drama schools, I decided to start my own company, the Working Action Group, and to begin developing this project called Act for Acting. So let me tell you a little bit about what that is. Act for Acting is an ongoing project that attempts to re-examine the processes of acting and actor training through the prism of a contemporary model of behavioural psychology called ACT, which in its original therapeutic setting stands for acceptance and commitment therapy. And when it's adapted for other settings, such as ours, it stands for acceptance and commitment training. And the reason that I think ACT is so useful and so relevant when it comes to acting is that at the heart of ACT as a practice is a notion called psychological flexibility. And psychological flexibility can be described as the ability to open up, be present, and do what matters. And more specifically, the ability to open up, be present, and do what matters, even in the presence of difficult, uncomfortable thoughts and feelings. Now, that to me sounds very much like what we ask of ourselves as actors and what those of us who teach and direct actors are asking actors to do, to open up, be present, and do what matters. So the starting point for this project was to think, well, if that's what we're trying to do, and there's this huge body of psychological research and practice that we can draw upon, then maybe we should do that. So that was the starting point for Act for Acting. But it soon became apparent that the potential for the project was much bigger than that. That the psychological principles of ACT could not only help actors in terms of our own psychological flexibility, but could inform the ways that we look at character, could help us to develop new techniques for how we work in the rehearsal room, and help us think about what it is we're trying to achieve when we put our performances in front of audiences. So as the project has developed, it's taken on what I like to call a 3-act structure, which I describe as Act 1, people, Act 2, process, and Act 3, performance. So Act 1 is about people. So it's about how we can draw upon ACT and this idea of psychological flexibility to help us as human beings who just happen to be doing this very challenging thing called acting. How it can help us take care of ourselves, how it can help us develop as we move through our lives and through our careers, and how it can help us show up in rehearsals and in performance in the way that we would like to. Act 2 is about process, which is where we get into the business of acting itself. So this is where we're using ACT to bring the discussion of character into the 21st century and how we're using it to inform our rehearsal process and to develop new techniques, new strategies to help us get to the guts of what it is we're doing as we perform as actors. Act 3 is about performance. So about how we engage and communicate with audiences, how we create performances that do offer a credible interpretation of what it might mean to be human from a 21st century perspective. So we're doing that through the Working Action Group creating its own projects and productions, but also by offering training and guidance and mentorship to other creatives and companies who share our values in terms of interpreting humanity for the 21st century, and seeing how we can get involved in people's processes, get this work out there, engaging with audiences. So, taken all in all, Act for Acting is a new psychological approach to how we train and live and work as actors. And after 5 years of developing this practice through my own research and through collaborations with actors and other creatives, I'm now sharing this project more widely through coaching, through workshops, and now through this YouTube channel where I will be posting exercises to help you develop your own psychological flexibility, where I will be discussing some of the key concepts, ideas, and frameworks that we employ in Act for Acting, and where I'll be discussing well-known characters from a contemporary psychological perspective. So if that sounds useful, interesting, valuable to you, subscribe to the channel, check out the videos, and let's see what you can discover about what 21st century psychology can offer to you as a 21st century actor.